Many female ADHDers don't get a diagnosis for one reason. They have an inattentive presentation, meaning they tend to be more quiet, withdrawn, and they daydream a lot. Whereas their male counterparts have the hyperactive, impulsive presentation, wherein they tend to act out, and they're disruptive, they can't control themselves, they fidget, they're disruptive in class, let's say if they're school-age children. So they're more likely to get referred for services, and for screening at the very least, and then to be picked up when the screening is actually conducted. So that is I think the primary reason, and we are generalizing here. This might be, with further research, disputed, but it tends to be that these differences are seen, and it tends to be that there are a lot of biases in screening measures that are often designed for males and for a certain kind of demographic, and is exclusionary to people of different identities which might have a different presentation. As to why there is this distinction, well, there has been a general trend of noticing that females are more internalizing with their symptoms, meaning they experience anxiety and depression, whereas males tend to be more externalizing, meaning they act out and they more likely to be diagnosed with a conduct disorder, let's say. So it maps to a general trend. As to whether this is a result of biology, as to whether it's a result of social conditioning or a combination of both, we don't know that at the moment. Maybe it will become clear with more studies and as our understanding in the field advances. I believe that social conditioning plays a big role. I know growing up, I tended to see a lot of males acting out because it's kind of like what's socially sanctioned. When you are in distress or when you're struggling, is to act out and to engage in disruptive behaviors to express that. There's not a lot of inward-looking behavior because we're not necessarily trained to do that as males. We're perceived to be the providers, agents of change, the doers. We express ourselves through action. And not to say that that isn't the case with females, but I think that's what we're also socially conditioned to believe. Whereas females are kind of like the quiet, they're conditioned to be the quiet ones, to keep things to themselves, and to be not disruptive, and to be considerate of other people's feelings, and to do more self-reflection. And I mean, again, it could be also a combination of that and biology, but you see that kind of pushed in a lot of the messages about what it means to be a certain gender. Now, I myself, I now identify as non-binary. I grew up presenting as male, and, you know, for the most part, I still present as male to most people. Nobody would know unless I told them. But I never fully aligned with male as a gender definition. I never felt like it sat well with me, not because I was disputing what my biology was, but because I just didn't align with the idea of what it meant to be male, this socially conditioned idea of what it meant to be a male and to perform masculinity. It seemed very toxic to me, it seemed very limiting, and I could never confine myself to that very narrow box. And I noticed that looking back, I was of the inattentive presentation. I internalized everything because I didn't want to act out. It didn't seem socially appropriate. A lot of my messaging I got because I spent a lot of my time around females because they tended to be more accommodating and kind and understanding compared to males who are more competitive, in my experience when I was going to school. So again, that is a generalization, but this is based on my experience. So I was kind of modeling myself off the behaviors I saw in the females I spent time around and I had, you know, some kind of acquaintanceship with or friendship with, because that's the behavior that they engaged in. That's the behavior they modeled for me. It's interesting because I think my presentation might have been a lot more different if I identified differently with my gender. How do you identify in terms of your presentation as an ADHDer? And do you think your gender plays a role in shaping how it manifests? I would love to hear from you.